Something is happening on the PGA Tour right now that goes well beyond a scheduling decision. Three major stories are colliding at once: dominance, controversy, and a kind of tension that golf fans almost never see. And at the center of all of it is one man, Rory McIlroy. On April 12, 2026, Rory McIlroy defended his Masters title at Augusta National, becoming just the fourth player in the history of the event to successfully defend. Tiger Woods was the last to do it, winning back-to-back in 2001 and 2002. That victory made McIlroy a six-time major champion, and the world watched in awe. Then he walked away. He skipped the RBC Heritage the week after Augusta. That was not surprising. McIlroy has only teed it up at Harbour Town once in the last 6 years. He then skipped the Zurich Classic, which had been confirmed months in advance. But then came the decision that truly turned heads. McIlroy elected not to play the Cadillac Championship at Trump National Doral, a $20 million no-cut signature event, making it 2 consecutive signature events missed following his Masters. And McIlroy was not alone. World number 3 Matt Fitzpatrick, number 9 Xander Scheffler, number 12 Robert McIntyre, and number 14 Ludwig Aberg also withdrew. 5 of the top 15 players in the world were absent from the Cadillac Championship, the highest number of top players to miss a signature event in their short history. To understand why this happened, you need to look at the calendar. The stretch reads: Masters, RBC Heritage, Zurich Classic, Cadillac Championship, Truist Championship, PGA Championship at Aronimink. That is 3 signature events sandwiched between 2 majors, and there was virtually no breathing room for elite players trying to peak at the right moment. The Cadillac Championship was not originally part of this structure. The Mexico Open, which had been played in February the last 2 years, dropped off the 2026 schedule. The Cadillac took its slot and ended up in the most congested part of the calendar. Adam Scott, speaking from Miami, acknowledged the problem directly. This year is a little bit of an exception, I think. This is an added event. Ideally, this wouldn't be the way. I think we've got to get through this year, and hopefully the schedule looks a little more balanced. Justin Thomas put it plainly at the RBC Heritage: going to very difficult courses into a major, I don't think, is probably how it would be drawn up for a lot of guys. Justin Rose, who made his return at Doral after a strong Masters showing, explained his own reasoning. I looked at this period coming up, and I think something had to give for sure. For me personally, after the Masters, I feel like I needed that week extra to reflect and get the recovery going into this big run of events. So, yeah, when you're having to miss great events to prepare for other great events, it's not ideal. Even world number 1 Scottie Scheffler, who played the Cadillac but skipped the Truist Championship the following week, spoke candidly about the physical and mental toll. I think it was a couple years ago, we did Jack's Place in the U.S. Open back-to-back. I'm like, I physically and mentally, I can't do this for 2 weeks in a row. I won Memorial, and I was whipped showing up to the U.S. Open. Scheffler added, in order for me to show up and play my best, I have to have off time. That's something I've learned as my career has gone on, how important rest. McIlroy has been transparent about this shift for over a year. In November 2024, he said, I'm 35 and have been out here for 18 years, so I'm just going to go to the places that I enjoy and where I play well. Look, I've done the hard slog. I've done that sort of 25 to 30 events a year, and I'm not getting any younger. At 36, he is consciously managing his schedule around major championships. He has pointed to Justin Rose, still competing at 45, as the longevity model he wants to follow. His preparation strategy was on full display before the 2026 Masters. Instead of playing tour events in Texas, he spent weeks at Augusta National practice. He did not play himself into form. He engineered his peak, and it worked. His next expected stop is the Truist Championship at Quail Hollow, a course where he has won 4 times and which CBS's Dottie Pepper dubbed Rory McIlroy Country last year. From there, it is straight into the PGA Championship. Here is where the story gets a dimension that golf almost never carried. Trump National Doral's Blue Monster was returning to the PGA Tour for the first time since 2006. President Donald Trump purchased the Doral Resort in 2012 for approximately $150 million. After the Masters, Trump publicly congratulated McIlroy, calling him a legend, and made clear he was looking forward to seeing him at Doral. Then McIlroy skipped it. Trump responded publicly, praising McIlroy as a fantastic player, but calling the decision surprising. He described Doral as a premier course and a premier event, then added that some players understand that. That final line carried real weight. It was controlled, but the frustration was detectable. Some fans and media speculated that McIlroy's absence was a quiet protest against the PGA Tour's return to a Trump-owned property. However, most analysts pointed to the straightforward reality. He was resting after the Masters during a cramped stretch, and he was not the only star player missing. Then came the twist that made this story even more layered. On April 28, 2026, despite skipping Doral, McIlroy and his wife Erica attended the White House state dinner for England's King, Charles III. During his speech, Trump interrupted himself to single out McIlroy. "I had to interrupt my speech because I watched that man win a tournament. That was a tough one. Congratulations. Very proud of you." He even asked McIlroy to stand up in front of the room. The relationship was clearly not broken, but the optics of attending a White House state dinner while skipping a Trump-owned tour event kept the conversation alive. When the news broke that McIlroy was skipping the Cadillac Championship, the reaction online was immediate and split directly down the middle. Critics pointed to what they called hypocrisy. When LIV Golf launched, McIlroy was its most vocal opponent on the PGA Tour. He championed the signature event model specifically because it guaranteed the world's best players would face each other regularly. One fan posted on X, "Self-designated ambassador of golf and face of the PGA nowadays just skips playing the PGA Tour and just plays the majors and money-grab DP World Tour event least. Great golfer, but I can't stand him." Another wrote simply, "Way to show up for the new event on the calendar this year." On Reddit, the debate was more nuanced. One user framed it directly. Is he being a hypocrite, which reflects poorly on him? Or now that he has a Grand Slam and won the Masters back-to-back, he can pretty much do whatever he wants? On the other side, defenders argued the criticism misses the point entirely. Sports Illustrated stated plainly that McIlroy has earned the right to play wherever and whenever he wants. One fan posted, "Golf fans are so soft. Dude just won the Masters and is in his late 30s. Maybe the PGA Tour shouldn't have a signature event the week after a major." Another went further. "He will only play in majors now that he has the Grand Slam. I don't blame him. He doesn't need to." Crucially, the PGA Tour no longer has any mechanism to penalize him for this. 3 years ago, in 2023, McIlroy was fined $3 million for skipping a signature event when the rules allowed only one skip per season. That penalty structure no longer exists. The tour removed it, which means the biggest stars can now choose their schedule freely, and there is nothing the tour can do about it. One fellow PGA Tour player, Michael Kim, captured the mood among competitors perfectly. He posted on X, "I hope to get to a point where I decide to skip a signature event even when held." That is not criticism. That is acknowledgement that McIlroy has reached a level where he sets the terms. Pulled back from the individual story, and the structural implications become significant. PGA Tour CEO Brian Rolap has reportedly been pushing toward a schedule of 20 to 25 Tier 1 events combining signatures and majors. But here's the problem this moment exposes. If the PGA Tour cannot reliably get its biggest names to the current 8 signature events, what happens when there are 25? The authority simply is not there. LIV Golf, even as it collapses, with the Saudi Public Investment Fund announcing it will only fund the league through the remainder of 2026, permanently shifted the power dynamic. Players know their leverage now. Brooks Koepka, who returned to the PGA Tour via the returning member program after 3.5 years at LIV, could not even get into the Cadillac Championship as an alternate. He spent Thursday on the range waiting for a withdrawal that never came. That is a reminder that the post-LIV era comes with complicated consequences for everyone involved. Justin Rose, who has seen the tour evolve over nearly 2 decades, summed up where things stand. "I'm sure there's a group of players and people, the competition committee or whatever it's called, looking at the best practices going forward. So I'm sure there's been a lot of talk about our schedule next year, the year after, whatever it is. I'm sure that this period of time will be refined, for sure. The 2027 schedule will almost certainly look different. This stretch was a product of a late addition to the calendar, and the tour is aware it cannot sustain this kind of congestion if it wants its top players present at marquee. All of it now points to Quail Hollow and Aronimink. McIlroy is rested. He is confident. He is coming off back-to-back Masters victories, and his entire schedule has been engineered around arriving at the PGA Championship in peak condition. If he wins, or seriously contends at Aronimink. Every criticism leveled at him for skipping Doral evaporates, and the strategy will look not just justified, but masterful. And that is exactly what makes this moment so significant. This is not simply about one player skipping one tournament. This is about a shift in power, a restructuring of priorities, and a preview of how the modern PGA Tour works when its biggest stars have leverage, agency, and a clear legacy to chase. The top players now shape the calendar rather than simply following. And when a back-to-back Masters champion decides to sit out, even a $20 million no-cut event at a presidential golf resort cannot change that.